Chapter 6. Talking to the Housekeepers. The next day was very sunny, though still very cold. The strong sunshine made me feel more hopeful about the future, now that I'd told Andrea about what had happened. I finally felt good after an excellent night's sleep. It was the first time I hadn't dreamt about meeting myself for nearly a week. At 10 o'clock, we walked round to Felka Utca. I was really pleased that Andrea was with me. Although my Hungarian was good, she would be able to talk to people much more easily than me. The first person we spoke to was the housekeeper, the lady who had the small ground-floor flat near the door in return for doing jobs in the building, such as cleaning the stairs and checking the lift and the lights. We asked her a lot of questions. When we asked if there was anybody who looked like me living in the flats, she looked at me for a long time and then said there wasn't. Andrea next asked her how long she had worked there. The answer was 21 years. And did she know everybody? She did. And were there any new families? There weren't. And were there any men looking like me who'd lived here and then moved away lately? There weren't. We thanked her and left. Out in the street, we looked at each other. I was starting to think I must be imagining everything. Perhaps it was a visitor, said Andrea, realizing how bad I felt. Or perhaps, I said, perhaps he lives in the other building, where the bar is, and I didn't see where he went. Maybe, said Andrea. Let's go and try. We walked round to Gergi Utca and stopped outside the bar. So, she said, looking down the steps to the cellar. This is where you've been spending your evenings. My face went red. Sorry, I said. I'm joking, love, she said, laughing. Look, the main entrance to the block of flats is next door. It would have been easy for you to mistake which one he went into in the dark and snow. Yes, you're right, I answered. But I kept thinking about the fact that there'd been no footprints in the snow. Inside the building, we met another housekeeper. This time it was a man in his 50s who'd worked there for 12 years. We asked the same questions as we'd asked before, and got the same answers. He'd never seen anyone there who looked like me. I felt very bad after these second answers. I thought that Andrea would think there was something wrong with me. Andrea took my hand. Come on, she said, laughing. Let's go and have a drink in your famous bar. I was so surprised that I didn't have time to say anything as I followed her down the steps. The barman welcomed me with a friendly smile and a joke about good friends bringing more friends. I introduced him to Andrea. Then we took our wine and stood in a corner and talked about what had happened. There is one important thing about all of this, Andrea, I said when we seemed to have talked about it all. And I know it sounds very strange, but I don't think this person just looked like me. I think it was me. I'd said this to her before, when I'd told her the first time, and she'd laughed and said it was impossible. But I had a feeling deep inside me that I was right. "But John," she asked, "how could that be?" "I don't know, love," I replied. "I just feel it. So, perhaps we shouldn't be looking for someone who lives in these buildings now. Perhaps we should be looking for someone who, well, someone who's dead. And who I am now." Andrea looked at me very hard. "John," she said, "I've never heard you say anything like this before. What do you mean?" "I wish I knew what I meant," I said with difficulty. "All I know is that I have a strange idea inside my head that tells me these things are possible." We finished our drink without speaking, and left. "Andrea," I said as we walked home, "you must believe me. I need your help to try and understand what's happened to me." "I'm trying to believe you, love," she answered, turning to look at me. "It's just that it's very difficult to understand." "It's difficult for me too," I said.